Well, hello rally friends and welcome to my kitchen table. It's been a long time, far too long. Am I going to do more of these? Well, I hope so. I'm going to try very hard to make it a regular thing because you know what? There is so much to talk about in the world of rallying right now. What are we going to talk about at this kitchen table? Well, we have to talk Rally Latvia, don't we? And in particular, we have to talk Martin Sesks. But there's other things to talk about. The road position debate, which really fired up again in Latvia. It had gone all very quiet for a long time. What you find is when one particular driver feels that he is perhaps under a little bit of pressure because of road position, then it all goes ballistic. And that is what happened in Latvia. The other thing I want to talk about is that title race because it really is beginning to look very juicy indeed. Thierry Neuville, he's got to do something, hasn't he? He's got to respond. There are also some questions. What I did on Instagram this morning was put a little request for questions, and we got quite a few in. I'm going to try and answer a few of them here during the course of the next 15 or 20 minutes or so. And if I don't get all of those questions answered here, then I will endeavour to answer them through Instagram. So if you're not following me on Instagram, a good opportunity to do it. Colin Clark Rally. And if you're not subscribed to this YouTube channel, maybe press the button. If you're watching it on Facebook and you've enjoyed the content of this little vlog, then share it. That would help me tremendously if you shared it to your audience as well. So, you know, as many people as possible can take part in this debate, because that's what it's about. It's about, you know, me giving my opinion and perhaps provoking a bit of debate. So let's start with Rally Latvia and that performance from Martin Sesks. Listen, I don't care. I don't care that the kid knew those roads. I don't care he'd driven them and he'd obliterated the opposition on them before. This was in a Rally 2 car. It was up against opposition that was second league, maybe even third league at times. It matters not. It was his first rally in a Rally 1 car. Yes, he did Poland in the Rally 1 minus without the hybrid, but it was a whole different beast that he had to tame here in Latvia with the Rally 1 car. And you're talking to a lot of people. There was, you know, I talked to people who know these things, who have driven these cars, and they said, look, you know, the Rally 1 car without the hybrid is actually quite an easy car to drive. It took quite a bit of learning and he drove it beautifully. But they were a bit concerned. Could he repeat the performance of Poland in Latvia, even although he knew the stages well? We got an indication, didn't we, on the Thursday evening in that opening. It was a fantastic super special. The atmosphere was just unbelievable. So many people in the centre of Riga for that. And, you know, a lot of them had come to see one man, and that was Martin Sesks. I am told, I'm not an aficionado of the European Rally Championship. I am beginning to pay more attention to what's going on there, because it does look as if there are some very decent drivers emerging in the European Rally Championship. But those who follow it closely said, you watch his performance on tarmac, he's not that hot on tarmac. Well, first stage ever in a full Rally 1 car, that super special stage, not a conventional super special by any stretch of the imagination. It was a tarmac stage. There was a very small section of gravel in there. He was fourth quickest through on his very first stage on tarmac in a Rally 1 car. That made me sit up and think, there's more to this kid. There's more to this kid than just knowing roads and going fast on fast gravel stages. We then got to Friday morning. He won stages. He looked comfortable. He made the most of his position. And he did it all with a degree of ease that suggests to me that this kid knows what he's doing. He knows what he's doing. You know, there are a lot of kids who get the opportunity, not enough I'd have to say, but a lot do. You know, I'm talking over the last 10, 15, 20 years, world rally cars, you know, now these Rally 1 cars. They get the opportunity, and there are very few that make the most of it. I do remember Solberg, young Solberg in Sweden, when he was battling with Ogier, and he set some great times. I remember back in the WRC days, I think again it was Sweden, Pontus Tideman, you set some great times. I remember a youngster in, where were we, in Corsica, did a great job in a World Rally car on his first outing, but not winning stages. You know, that's almost unheard of. Your first outing in a top-line rally car and you are winning stages. You know, let's include Poland. Let's include Poland, say Poland was his first outing. So it's his second outing. When did Rovanperä win his first stage? Well, it was at the end of his second event. It was on the power stage on his second event. Sesks won stage 3 of the rally, was it? Stage 4 of the rally as well? Can't remember the exact numbers now. It was enormously impressive. I feel for the kid though, because he's clearly got talent, and at another point in time, there may have been an opportunity for him in the World Rally Championship. But talent has to align with opportunity. There is talent there. Is there opportunity there? It was pointed out to me that there are 3 elements: talent, opportunity, budget. Budget comes if the opportunity is there. If we're a new manufacturer knocking on the door, if we're a new manufacturer setting up to enter the championship next year, looking for a young driver to develop, there is no question that Sesks would be considered. No question whatsoever. But we don't. We don't. That is the state of the championship right now. So it's difficult. It's difficult to see where he goes. It really is. I think he is young enough. He needs to be looking, sadly, not at next year, 25, probably not even at 26. He needs to be looking at 27. And he needs to be saying in 27, when those new manufacturers come in, and let's hope it's not just a new manufacturer. Let's hope it's new manufacturers, multiple manufacturers, who take a look at this new set of regulations that the FIA is working so hard on, and they say, whoa, we have to be part of this championship. Because we can do that. If they get those regulations right, that can happen. Conceivably, that can happen. Manufacturers will be falling over themselves to join our championships, or our championship. And then what happens? Championships, because let's include WRC2 and all the support championships. Then what happens? They're looking for drivers. Yes, they're looking for established drivers. Yes, they're looking for drivers who can offer them development potential. But every team is looking to invest in youth. They're looking to invest in continuity. That might be his opportunity. That really might be his opportunity. Now, the other team that potentially hasn't got that lined up, you look at Toyota, they've got their young star, if you like, already lined up. That is Sami Pyri. M Sport, well, it's a different kettle of fish. You've got to balance the commercial interest with the interest of developing the car, developing the team, and the continuity. That's a different kettle of fish altogether. What about Hyundai though? Well, do you know what? They don't have a youngster in their ranks. Not particularly. We had this young driver program, and Emil Lindholm was part of it, and Timo Sunonen was part of it. But they've not invested properly since they gave Oliver Solberg a chance, and so cruelly, and I think prematurely, stopped his efforts in the Rally 1 machinery. So they don't have a youngster. So, there are big question marks over whether Hyundai will continue in the championship. That is one of the questions from this morning. Yes, I've heard those rumours, but Cyril Abiteboul has more or less said to us on record they're staying until the end of 26. At least they will consider the new regulations. They will consider the opportunities. They will consider the other championships and the options that they have. And if the WRC stacks up in terms of relatability, it's got to be relevant to the road cars. If it stacks up in terms of value for money, if it stacks up in terms of engineering ability to demonstrate what they can do, then I'm pretty certain there's a very good chance Hyundai will stay. If they do, back to the point about Sesks, they need a bit of continuity. How much longer are we going to see Neuville and Tanak in the championship? I guess you could argue another 3 or 4 years at least, but they will want a young driver. This is the opportunity for Sesks, but sadly, I think he's going to have to find budget to keep himself relevant for the next 2 or 3 years. But he did something remarkable, and there are seminal moments in this championship that I've been very, very fortunate to be around for. And Loeb winning his 6th championship outside the town hall in Hagenau. Oh, just my hairs go up in the back of my neck thinking about it. It was just one of the most sensationally emotional moments that I've ever witnessed in rallying. Latvala winning his first event in Sweden. Rovanperä bursting onto the scene, winning stages, winning his first event, winning his first championship. All seminal moments in the past 15 or 20 years or so. And I think what young Sesks did, particularly with those stage wins, and then his ability on the Saturday to battle with Ogier, to hold on, to battle for second place, then to hold on, to try and hold on to that third place against world champions. He was battling 3 world champions effectively, Rovanpera, Ogier, and then ultimately Tanak. The record books will show that he finished 7th, but the memories will tell us that Sesks was the superstar of this event. A star is born. There is no question about that. A star has been born in the World Rally Championship. And no, I'm not getting ahead of myself. No, I'm not getting too excited. I've seen enough youngsters coming onto the scene in the last 20 years to know what should be possible. Regardless of the situation, regardless, Solberg in Sweden in his Rally 1 car that time that we saw him, or the World Rally car as it was, I think it was the World Rally car it was it a rally? I can't remember, my memory goes, but when he made his debut in Sweden and he was battling away, Sweden is the natural home for Solberg, as it was for Tiedemann. You'd be foolish, if you get one chance, you'd be foolish not to choose the rally that suits you best. There were certain things aligned for Sesks. The fact that none of our Rally 1 drivers had been really recently to Latvia. That helped him. For sure, that helped him a little bit. But take nothing away. Take nothing away. It should not have been possible. And he achieved a remarkable, remarkable result. So hats off to Sesks. I will watch with interest. Has he got an immediate future in the World Rally Championship? Should he replace someone else? No. Sadly not. Sadly not. But I'm sure his team are working very hard. I'm sure Malcolm Wilson, who is a very, very shrewd and canny operator, he invests in young drivers. He invested in Evans, he invested in Tanak, he invested in Neuville. And when they got big contracts with bigger manufacturers, he got his payback. That won't be lost on Malcolm with Sesks. It really won't. It really won't. So let's just wait and see what happens. We'll keep everything crossed for him. Now, the next thing I wanted to talk about, road position, the debate about road position. It's distracting, and it's distracting Thierry Neuville, and I think it was frustrations boiled over. Listen, it was, I'd have to say, when I got to Latvia and drove 1 or 2 of the stages, geez, the amount of gravel and the size of the gravel, this was the big thing. It was properly big, rounded, smooth gravel, and there was a lot of it on the stages. You instantly knew that Thierry Neuville was going to have an issue, but he's fought in those positions before and he's managed to salvage good points. The situation with the championship, Evans just keeps nibbling away, while he looks far from his best, Elwyn Evans, but he's nibbling away at that lead that Neuville's got. Tanak is blasting away at Neuville's lead, he really is. Where would Tanak have been? Probably leading the championship if he'd not hit that deer on those stages a couple of weeks ago in Poland. Tanak looks supreme, and I think that's beginning to have an effect on Thierry Neuville. And he got distracted by the whole road cleaning argument. The rules haven't changed. They've been exactly the same since the start of the year. The calendar hasn't changed. It's exactly as it was at the start of the year, this run of 7, I think it is, gravel rallies. You plan and you prepare and you strategize for your championship. And you know that to win the championship, you are going to have to lead the championship, for a proportion of the year. And that means you will open roads. So you deal with that and you plan for that and you mitigate and minimize the effect of that. And I think doing it in public the way that Neuville did was probably not good for him. Probably not good. But I understand. From a number of perspectives. One, from the pressure perspective. That's clearly an issue. The other is from the spectacle. Who pays? You don't pay for a Formula 1 event and go and see Max Verstappen pootling around at the back of the field, not because of his performance. He might pootle around at the back of the field if he's crashed in qualifying or something, but that's not what happened here. Thierry Neuville, a championship leader, in some people's eyes a championship favourite, is pootling around at the back of the field. That ain't right. That's absolutely not right. But I don't know. I don't know how we change it. A lot of talk about the qualifying stage, but I'm not sure about qualifying stage either. I think we have to have situations where, at certain points in the year, drivers like Adrian Fomo, who won't win a rally yet on pace alone. He needs more pace, he needs a bit more knowledge, he needs a bit more experience. But with circumstances, Greece, for example, is punishing. He'll have a decent road position in Greece. Maybe he can win Greece. And I think we have to have a situation that allows for that. And do you know what? If the rules don't change mid-year, then we just accept them and we get on with it. And it is far from ideal. And yes, there is the argument our top drivers being punished and all the rest. It is such a difficult one to deal with. But what I would say is it does someone like Neuville no real favours in terms of his focus and his concentration to get distracted by it. He needs to be pinpoint focused on what he's got to do, which is salvaging points, as many points as he can from what was going to be a difficult situation. So, yeah, I don't know. I don't know what the answer is. If you've got any ideas, any better ideas, put them in the comments below. Let's start a little debate about this and see where we think it's going. Moving on, Tanak. Wow. Another question that came in, actually, it was from Luke Whitten, lovely lad. Rally Sport Magazine, have a look if you haven't seen it already. A fantastic publication. I don't think it's a publication anymore. A website based in Australia, focusing mainly on Australian and Antipodean rallying, but they're a great rallying dynasty, shall we say. Luke is third generation of the Whitten clan to be involved in rallying journalism, and that's quite some achievement, I have to say. Luke was saying, look, is this the biggest test of Abitable? How is he going to handle this emerging battle? What is it, 7 points between them with Neuville and Tanak? And right at the start of the year, or at the end of last year, remember it was Rally Chile last year where we found out that Tanak was going back to Hyundai. The biggest question was, how does Abitable handle these two? How does he manage them? I don't know. But what I've seen of Abitable tells me he's a pretty canny operator. I was sceptical when he first came in. I'll admit that. I was sceptical. I'd heard, oh, can you hear that? That's my donkey. That's my donkey, and that's my clock going at the same time. That's a cacophony of noise that you don't need. And the dogs, just to help us out. That's the donkey shouting, saying he wants brought in. I'm not bringing him in. Yeah, Abitable. A little sceptical. I'd seen the Drive to Survive, wasn't sure, but it took him a month or two to settle in. But he's a very canny operator. He's a very clever man. Has he got the ability to deal with this potential conflict between Neuville and Tanak? I think he does. I'm not entirely convinced that anyone would be able to deal with what is potentially a very explosive situation. Tanak is in the ascendancy and looks just about back to his very best. He never really lost it, Tanak, but he's been through a torrid time. The first period he spent with Hyundai, it was a strange thing. Leaving Toyota was a strange thing. He went to Hyundai to be teammates to someone who was well and truly ensconced in that team, and in many people's eyes was leading that team, not just as a driver, Thierry Neuville, but he was leading the direction of the team. He was leading the engineering direction that the team was going in. The car was being set up to suit his driving. Tanak went there and, well, he was disappearing off after 2 years, after a really torrid 2 years. A year at at Toyota, a year at M Sport, a couple of wins, again a torrid time. And then back to Hyundai, and you're going, what is going on here? He's there, here, he's there, he's everywhere. He's gone back, and in this intervening 3 years, he'd lost that cloak of invincibility that he'd basically thrown around himself in that championship winning year. But it's coming back. It really is coming back. He looks incredible. Yes, he was third on the road, had a little bit of an advantage. But Sunday's performance, maximum points. Finishing, where did he finish? Fourth in the Saturday points. He picked up a good haul of points. He is in the ascendancy now in the title race. Evans is nibbling. Tanak is charging. Neuville is worrying. No question about that. You wouldn't be surprised to see Tanak leading the championship when we leave Finland in a week or so's time. Tanak's been difficult the last 2 or 3 years. Difficult to interview, difficult to deal with. And if I'm being absolutely frank, difficult to like. Really difficult to like. We never lose our admiration of what someone like Tanak can do in the stages. But it's more than that. You've got to like someone. And he's been difficult to like. But the last few rallies, something has changed. And it was Sardinia where I saw it. And this might sound odd, but I chatted to him on quite a personal level at the end of the rally, and I won't go into details about what we discussed, but there was a smile from Tanak that I hadn't seen for years. And when Tanak smiles, you see his soul. You see his soul, and his soul is good. There is goodness there. There is real goodness there. And that, you know, it literally took my breath away. I went, whoa, geez, you know, I've not seen that for 3 or 4 years, 5 years maybe. And I've seen it a couple of times since. And he's aligning that. He seems happy. What does that tell me? You know, that's never gone away. That goodness in Tanak's soul has always been there. But he's had to present a front. For whatever reason, for various reasons, he's had to present a front to deal with some difficult circumstances. But what that tells me, seeing that smile, seeing that little window into that soul, seeing that goodness in Tanak, says to me he's becoming happier, more content with where he's at. And those things that perhaps were distracting him are maybe now not distracting him quite so much, which is allowing him to get in that car and once again do quite remarkable things in the car. And do you know, if I had to bet right now, my money is on Tanak for this championship. My money is on Tanak. He's the one that looks like the champion right now. Never ever write off Thierry Neuville. He's a fighter and a battler, but Tanak is the ultimate warrior. And never write off Elfyn Evans, because Elfyn Evans just goes about things in his way. Tells us he doesn't even look at the points or the times. He just does whatever he can, goes as fast as he can in each stage, stage by stage by stage. Doesn't let any exterior aspects interfere with what he has to do, which is concentrate fully and go as well as he can in each stage that he competes in. He's just slowly, keeping them absolutely honest. But my money right now, very much on Tanak. Very much on Tanak. I'm loving seeing Tanak back. I have to say, if you go back to have a look at our Dirtfish video that we did, our behind the scenes video, it's quite good fun. Holly McRae was with us there. It really is quite good fun. I actually quite enjoyed watching it. But at the end of that video, towards the end of it, we were at the back of the podium and we caught Tanak being a gentleman as he is and heading across the field to go and have a word with Martin Sesks. Because remember, they started that final stage battling for that final podium place. Sesks had that failure on the car, which meant he finished 7th. But Tanak being the older statesman, if you like, of the WRC, or one of them, he went across to just offer a word of advice and comfort to Martin Sesks. It was a lovely moment, it really was. But what you notice as he walks away is a pronounced limp. He is still not 100% fit after that enormous accident a few weeks ago in Estonia. You know, he can't afford anything more along those lines. He really can't. You know, his body probably won't be able to take it. We won't be able to take it. So let's hope that by the time we get to Finland, it is a fully fit Tanak, because what he did in that Hyundai there a few years ago, a Hyundai that was almost undrivable, a Hyundai which you could not win on the fast gravel of Finland. What he did a few years ago was one of the greatest drives that we've ever witnessed. If he does it again this year, no one's going to get near him. Not even Kalle Rovanperä. But I'm looking forward to a good battle between Rovanperä and Tanak. And let's hope Elfyn Evans as well, because he's strong on the finish stages. Let's hope he gets in there as well. Now, a few other questions. I'm trying to remember them off the top of my head. One was in regards to how I got involved. What would I be doing if I wasn't involved in rallying? I got a wonderful opportunity 20 or so years ago, 25 years ago, to get involved in rallying. I have no idea. I was in marketing. I was a corporate marketing manager at the time. I guess I would still be doing that. Yeah, crumbs. How different would my life be? Another question asking whether I'm going down for the wonderful Daybreaker rally in New Zealand in a month or so's time. Absolutely everything crossed. That is the plan, to head back to New Zealand straight after the Acropolis rally for that event. Now, there were some other questions. As I've said, what I will do is I'll go back onto my Instagram and I will answer those questions that I haven't answered here through my Instagram account. So, folks, it's been the kitchen table. Do you know what? It must be a year since the last one. I think maybe my hair's got a bit thinner. I really do. But hey, that's life. That's what happens as you get old. But as you can tell, my passion for this sport has not diminished one iota. If you've enjoyed this video, folks, as I mentioned right at the top, do me a favour and share it on Facebook, and don't forget to like it. Maybe comment as well on YouTube, and that will certainly help me and encourage me to do these more often. It's been a joy talking to you once again, folks. from my kitchen table.